We are joined now by New Jersey Republican Jeff Van Drew, who is a member of the House Transportation Committee, and Florida Republican Congressman Carlos Jimenez. He is a member of the House Homeland Security Company. Thank you both, I should say committee. Thank you both for joining with us. Congressman Jimenez, let me start with you. With much of the DHS paralyzed at midnight, what concerns do you have for our national security? He can't hear. I can tell what that means. It means he can't hear me. Hopefully, Congressman Van Drew, you are able to hear me. You were on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. Last year, we know that foreign actors targeted Kettering Health, disrupting 14 medical centers, phone lines, health diversions. They had to force operations be canceled. Iranian and Russian hackers have targeted numerous water and wastewater systems in a shutdown. So how vulnerable is our critical infrastructure?
I'll tell you, I am sick of the Democrats with this. They create chaos. They close government down. They make us more vulnerable and then even create more chaos. This is their fault. Sure, we're willing as Republicans to discuss this if we can make something better with the way that we go about immigration. No problem. We can do that. But don't shut down government to do that, because you're not actually hurting the bad people here. You're hurting the good people. You're making us more vulnerable to a cyber attack. And we get millions of cyber attacks from our enemies every day. You're making it more problematic for the TSA agents who have to work for nothing and are not getting paid. You make greater problems for the Coast Guard, which we cherish. And by the way, in my district is the largest Coast Guard facility, the training center where 85% of the Coasties go through for their training and for boot camp. You're hurting good people. You're making the American people more vulnerable and more apt to be attacked and hurt. And you're doing all that because you're using a political chip, because you're trying to get your political way. Sure, we can discuss how we enforce immigration, but you don't close down government to do it.
Yeah, especially because the part of it that they're really upset about is already funded. So it makes no logical sense. I'm not sure if you can hear me now, Representative Jimenez, but I did want to ask you about this because you're on the Homeland Security Committee, and with the DHS being paralyzed at midnight, what are your concerns for our national security, our safety?
Well, all the things that you've outlined it really well in your opening narrative. I mean, and what's really ironic about it is that the thing that they're supposed to be concerned about, which is ICE, is funded till 2028.
Right.
So this is just political theater, putting everybody at risk for nothing, really, because if that's their issue, ICE is funded till 2028. And so, again, they're forcing all these folks. They're causing all this hardship on the American people, on the hardworking men and women of TSA, of the Coast Guard, and all those other agencies that are trying to protect us for nothing, because their number one complaint is actually funded through 2028. So again, this is all just political theater. Look, when I was in the, I've never voted to shut the government down, and believe me, I had plenty of disagreements with Biden policy. But shutting the government down is never a good idea. If you have issues with policy, you hash them out on the House floor. And then you know what? Democracy reigns on the House floor and on the Senate. And if we win, we win. And if we don't, we don't. But you don't shut the government down.
Especially when it comes to our national security. Representative Van Drew, part of the aging sewage system recently broke, spilling about 365 Olympic-size pools of sewage into the Potomac. It's not safe for humans to enter the water. Repairs are weeks away. How did our infrastructure get this dilapidated? Because I recall, and I don't recall the exact number, but we allocated billions of dollars for the infrastructure in the U.S.
Well, thank God now we're actually doing something. We're going to improve our airports. We're going to improve the infrastructure in the country, our bridges, our roads, our dams. That's what we should be doing in Congress, and that's what the Department of Transportation should be doing. That is what we are doing now, and we're starting to straighten all this out. But for years, and especially under Biden, worried about who you hired and DEI and woke policy and, tree equity and racist cities, all this nonsense and garbage when really for everybody, whatever race, color, or creed you are, wherever you live in the country, you want safe airlines, you want safe travel, you want, infrastructure that works, good roads. I mean, it's just common sense. They got so sidetracked. And again, I think Americans are tired of it. I know that I am. Let's really get down to work and get down to the business of making America what it should be, always the greatest country on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
We lead, we're the engine, we're not the caboose. Let's move forward.
And when we pass infrastructure bills, why don't we start using the money for the infrastructure instead of for all sorts of environmental stuff? Because I would assume that whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, you don't want sewage flowing into the waterways that you want to use to swim in and where your drinking water comes from. That hurts everybody.
Shameful for the greatest country on the face of the earth to even hear something about that. We really need to turn this around. When you look at, the infrastructure in this country, so much of it needs to be repaired. The interstate highway system. I have a bill just to improve the dams. We have a lot of dams throughout the country, east, west, and the central part of the country that are at risk and have problems that we really need to correct and need to fix.
Well,
let's do the real business of government.
First thing we need to do is get Congress to get us all back on track past this funding bill. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. I apologize that we don't have enough time to go back to you, Representative Jimenez, but appreciate it. Thanks.